The Wings Over New Zealand show is brought to you in association with the Wings Over New Zealand Aviation Forum, New Zealand's #1 aviation discussion forum online. There you'll find discussion on all aspects of New Zealand aviation, from history to current affairs, and thousands of photos covering the Royal New Zealand Air Force, airlines, general aviation, warbird restorations, airshow news, sport aviation, home building, gliding, aviation media, and much, much more. You'll be in good company with other aviation enthusiasts, including pilots, engineers, warbird owners and restorers, historians and authors, modelers, aviation photographers, and many others. Sign up to the Wings Over New Zealand community now. It's free and easy. Just Google Wings Over New Zealand and you'll find the forum.
Hi everybody, Andrew Gormley, CEO of Classic Flyers here. If you're interested in classic aviation and you want to get up close and personal to old aircraft and see some of New Zealand's aviation history, come across the Classic Flyers, Jean Batten Drive, Mount Maunganui, right on the edge of the airport. You can go for flights in old aeroplanes like Boeing Stearmans and Harvards. There's lots to see. Kids' parties happening here all the time. We have functions and function rooms, business meetings, and a great cafe with excellent coffee. If you'd like to be involved with Classic Flyers, we also have the volunteer groups who do all things from helping out with function work or just on the main hangar floor with visitors and guests or birthday parties, right through to engineers who get involved in restoring some of our wonderful old aircraft assets. These things are all part of New Zealand's aviation history. It's a great place and it's in a good location. Come and have a visit. Check out the website on www.classicflyersnz.com.
Hi, Melanie here from Aviation Tours, unique itineraries for aviation enthusiasts, taking you to some of the most amazing air shows and events in the UK and Australia. They're leisurely, comfortable, fun, escorted, and to all the places you've been wanting to visit. If independent travel's out of your comfort zone, or you just prefer the good company of fellow enthusiasts on a tour taking in the best aviation, motoring and military museums, take a look at our website aviationtoursnz.com for more info and join us on the trip of a lifetime. Or call me for a chat on 021 076 8308.
Welcome to the Wings Over New Zealand show with Dave Homewood.
Welcome to the Wings Over New Zealand show. I'm your host, Dave Homewood. This episode is another from the Wings Over New Zealand 20th Anniversary Forum meet at Wigram, held back in February. The speakers are Anthony Galbraith, who was live at the event, and zooming in live from South Korea, Stephen Carruthers. The pair of them are leading a team that are working towards hopefully restoring a Gloster Grebe 1920s fighter back to flight, type of biplane fighter which was based at Wigram back in the 1920s and 30s. Here's the talk.
So Stephen and I are going to tag team this because obviously he can't see you. He's kind of flying blind, so to speak. So Stephen, over to you.
Thank you, Anthony. Good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, can I just say a big shout out to Dave for organising this for us all. Hey, if you didn't do this, we wouldn't be here. So thank you, Dave. Really appreciate what you're doing to promote aviation history and the like in New Zealand. So the Gloster Grebe, yes, the then and now. How did we get here? Well, let's start off with a little bit of background. Next, please, Anthony. So we all probably in the room know a little bit of the background history. We know a few things about the Gloster Grebe. It's been one of those sort of folklore type aircraft within the New Zealand realm. And so let's just touch on that and we'll move along. So one of the interesting things is that Sir Henry Wigram, he donated money to the government for an aircraft. Now that's been changed into folklore as he brought the aircraft. Well, what we found out through this whole process is that he donated money for an aircraft. He was basically saying to the government of the day, you need to do something. Here's some money. And so that's what happened. So the UK Air Ministry, who we fell under, debated the type, and a decision to purchase the Gloster Grebe was made. Now, I have seen some discussion documents about what the process was, and it's very interesting that Sir Henry Wigram was kept up to date with what was happening and what was going to be purchased. I believe it came down to another aircraft, but it was the Gloster Grebe that won out on the day. So we move on to 501. So 501 arrives in New Zealand in February 1928, not long before Kingsford Smith arrives in his aircraft. If you have a chance, I think the museum has got it, but we've definitely got it on our Facebook page. But there is actual footage of NZ 501 flying around above Wigram just before the Southern Cross lands. Sadly, they don't get in the same picture. It would be fantastic if they did, but they didn't. So 501 is in New Zealand. It's been flown around by numerous people. It's an unarmed aircraft, as many of you will know. And it was quite a nimble little kind of fighter, as it were. That aircraft preceded 502 and 503. And just to briefly touch on 502 and 503, 502 met its demise up in Hobsonville, not long, about 1938. And sadly, 503 crashed not far from where you're sitting now, on the corner of Ames and Springs Road. There was an orchard, crashed into there, and the pilot, and we will talk about later, the pilot and his passenger were quite badly injured. So that's the why. And a little bit about the background of the two. Anthony, have you got anything to add?
No, that's all good, Stephen. Keep you rolling.
Thanks, mate. So what do we know about 501? Well, as I've already said, it was welcomed by the Southern Cross to Christchurch in 1928. And in the photo you see just there, that's Kingsford Smith meeting the base commander, a guy called James Finlay. He was the pilot of 503. Just a little bit more about 503 is quite a funny sort of thing, but when 503 crashed, there was a court of inquiry, and the court of inquiry went to the base commander for comment, and the base commander was Finlay, who was also the pilot of the crashed aircraft. So interesting fun fact, and I wonder what ever happened to that court of inquiry, because we've never been able to find it. 501 was seen regularly above Christchurch, and it flew in numerous air pageants all the way from Dunedin up to Masterton, actually out to Hood Aerodrome. It was seen around quite a lot. I would suggest, along with the other two aircraft, it was used as quite a bit of publicity. There's New Zealand doing its thing for the Empire and for defence. We could debate that with recent events, but we'll leave that there. It held, interesting enough, the airspeed record between Blenheim and Wigram. Someone must put their pedal to the metal and taken it, or was it a good tailwind? I'm not sure, but it did hold that. But sadly, as we've found out, NZ 501 met its demise in Rongotai in anywhere between 1938 and 1943. We're not sure because, again, the documentation hasn't come to light. Hopefully one day it will. Next, please.
Righto.
Okay. So I'll leave that with you, Anthony.
Yeah, so why should we be interested in looking at NZ 501 as a potential to bring back from extinction? Well, I guess as Stephen, when I first made contact with him to see what this guy's harebrained idea was all about, was I'm just asking the question, why not? And why not? Well, there's so much history involved with the local region here in Christchurch. the Sockburn Aerodrome, Sir Henry Wigram, and it holds such a significant role in our aviation history. So we've got a Kiwi can-do attitude, haven't we, here? We've seen that happen numerous times. We've seen the likes of Glyn Powell bringing the aircraft back together. We've seen the Vintage Aviator, and so many people with projects. And yep, Bob McGarry is bringing his beautiful Spartan back to life. So why not? It's so historically significant to New Zealand aviation, and none survived, not even wreckage of any are known to survive. So that was simply all that we were asking. Could we do it? We feel that, and as I'm sure you do too, that when you look at New Zealand aviation history, the Gloster Grebe, everyone seems to know about that aeroplane, its significance, and yet all we have are grainy black and white photos to look at. So it doesn't cost anything to ask the question, does it? And that's what we decided is what we should do. So Stephen posed the question on Facebook and also on Dave's website. And we've been nigh on surprised at how much interest there's been in the consideration of bringing a Grebe back to life from all places around the world. It's been quite humbling to get feedback from the Finns, excited about the prospect of a Grebe coming back, the RAF Museum, individuals in the UK who have built Gamecocks are all more than willing to throw their resources at us to see if we can make the dream of bringing a Gloster Grebe a reality in New Zealand. So what do we need to do? Well, this is why we're here. We need to talk to people. We need to find out information. We need to cast our net out, so to speak. We need to find out who was involved with NZ501, who maintained her, who assembled her, who worked on her, who flew her. Anybody that we can come in contact with, we would love to do that, because these airplanes that we see in these museums are beautiful artifacts in their own right. But as has been mentioned already, it's the people behind these airplanes that tell the story. It's the people who service them, maintain them, who kept them flying, whose aunties and uncles can all connect with. And that's the story we want to tell, because as historically significant this airplane is to us as enthusiasts, to many of those out in the public, they've never heard probably what a Gloster Grebe is. And it's important that they do, because it was the start of our fledgling Air Force. And we think that that's a great story to tell, and it needs to be a gap that needs to be filled in our aviation history. So since Stephen's put the word out, we've had people coming in from all around the world, all around New Zealand. We've got manuals being offered. We've had an incredible response from the Finns who built Gamecocks in the 20s and 30s. They've got a lot of spares, and so we've been offered a lot of Gloucester-specific hardware that they don't need anymore. We've got the Jet Age Museum in the UK and other associated people who have been involved with that and other projects. Stephen, did you have anything you wanted to add in here?
I will just briefly, and thank you, Anthony, for what you're saying, is that yes, it was just incredible the amount of information that was coming out. For those who are not too sure, the Gamecock was the bigger brother, the younger sibling of the Grebe, and we know that there are many parts that were similar to it. So part of what we've done is that we've asked the people who've done Gamecock to help us do Grebe because of that similarity. So we know we can do this. We just need to get more and more people on board and more information to come forward. But there's one point here that we haven't touched on yet. And the first question many people have asked us, have you got an engine? Because you can't do this without the Armstrong Siddeley Jaguar engine. Well, we've got one. We've got one. So we've got a Jaguar engine for our project. The owner, as I was saying there, is wanting to remain anonymous at this stage. He is looking at doing some work with the Jaguar engine himself. So we're on board with him. We can't go into too much detail about the Pacific engine, but there's a possibility that it could be reverse engineered. Like I know that's happening up in Gem Aviation up in Omaka.
Classic Aero machine.
Sorry, my apologies. But up in Omaka, they're doing this sort of thing now, so that we know that it can be done. And one of the earlier presenters said, well, they've done it before, I can do it myself. Well, that is a good old Kiwi attitude. We can do this, and we believe we can do this too. So that sort of ties into, and it's probably going through everyone's brain right now, is will NZ 501 fly? It's a really good question. And it was one of the first questions asked on WONZ. Will it fly? Well, we don't know. And I'll be honest with you, we do not know, because there's so many hurdles and so many things to get through first. But, and this is the but, if we do not aim for the best aircraft we can produce or build, then it will never fly. So everything we're doing, every step we're taking is to do the best resurrection of NZ 501 we can. And because we believe, when we think about Henry Wigram, when we think about those who've gone before us, when we think about the place you're sitting and the people who have been there, if this is going to happen, then it's got to happen right. And it's got to happen right for those people. So next slide, please. As we're sort of alluding to, it's about the people. Now, Anthony was hit the nail on the head, and I know the other people have said it as well throughout these presentations. It's all about people. We know who some of the pilots were. We know who some of the ground crew were. We don't know everything. We want to know more, because when we ask for someone to, hey, have you got $5 here? Have you got $10 here? Have you got $100 or $200? We can show them that the people that were associated with that aircraft, but they, in their donation, become part of those people. They become those people that are associated with this aircraft. So when this aircraft is produced, and we're adamant that it's is heading that direction, is that when you go and stand in front of this aircraft, wherever it may be parked, and you get your photo taken, you can say, that is part of me. I did that. And to us, that is the important part of this project. It's all about the people. Anthony, would you like to take from there, please?
Yeah, I think that's really it in a nutshell. It's about the people. Aeroplanes are beautiful objects, as we all know, but we need to find that human link, that human connection, because not only will that help us initially to build the history up of the Grebes in New Zealand, but also for funding, and when we're going for, looking for money for the project, we need to be able to present a story to potential investors into the project. Hence, probably leads nicely into that next slide, don't you think, Stephen?
I think that's you there, Anthony.
Okay, so we decided that we've got to a point now where there's a lot of people offering an enormous amount of help, and there is an engine now arrived on the scene, so to speak. The wise thing to do would be to form a trust. And the reason, obviously, as many of you would know, is that it's a way that we can keep things above board, legal. We can protect ours and any other person's property through any loan agreements or anything like that. It's to show that we're serious about putting together a group of or an organisation to put this aeroplane back in the air. So we've come up with a name, and there's been a fair bit of time and money already sunk into this project, even since its inception last year. So the name that we came up with is the SHW, or Sir Henry Wigram Aviation Trust. And that's to honour Sir Henry Wigram, what he's done for New Zealand aviation. It is to tell his story, as well as the Gloster Grebe and how he had such an important part in establishing New Zealand, or military aviation here in New Zealand. So whilst SHW Aviation Trust is our name, fully it is in reference to Sir Henry Wigram Aviation Trust.
When we just so that everyone is with us, our trust is now currently with the Charitable Trust Commission in Wellington, waiting for their approval. So we're at that point. We're confident the trust will be established. Obviously, these things take some time through the bureaucracy of Wellington, but that's okay. We've got this far, we can get further. As Anthony has said, the trust is very, very important for the transparency of this project. We are extremely transparent in what we do. We are engaged with a trust in the UK who may be able to help us with, as we said, Gamecock drawings and some other information, but they're not going to deal with us until we are a trust. And rightfully so. I mean, this is the level we know we're on, and this is the playing field we're in. Is that we are a serious enough now that going forward, everyone we engage with will be aware that we're wanting to do this, and we're wanting them to be involved, or we're wanting everyone to be involved, and we want them to know that their trust in us is respected, and that we will look after them as much as we're looking after this project. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, so we are certainly trying to make ground and keep transparency so that everybody knows where the project is at. We've got nothing to hide. We're just like you guys. We want to see a Gloster Grebe. Well, we really do want to see a Gloster Grebe come back from extinction. And now that we've seen what resources are out there and what people are prepared to help, we know it can be done, but we've got to do it properly. We've got to do it right the first time. We don't want to mess it up and somebody in 20 years' time decide that they want to do this, and they're like, no, you guys caused us problems last time, even though it might be different entities. So let's get everything set in place, and let's do it legally, and have everybody's trust. And we want you guys to all be involved as much as we do. So, Stephen, I'm on the slide. I don't know if you can see it, the trust welcome slide.
Yep.
Did you want to bring anything in here?
Yeah, it's pretty hopefully self-explanatory to the group in front of us, is that, we're really looking for people to be involved. Now, the three trustees are with you today. There's myself, Anthony, and there's also Mike Mara, I believe, is in the audience. Hello, Mike. I hope you're having a good day. So we've got trustees in place, and we're looking for people that are interested or keen, motivated to bring NZ 501 back. We're looking for, as it says there, people who have governance and administration. I'm like the other two gentlemen, we're working people. But we're wanting to do this as well. But we want people involved. I put up there draftsman stuff, engineering, relationship building, fundraising, those sorts of things. Now, you think back to the first presentation of the day with our good museum director, and he said he would like to see a hub of aviation happening around the museum. That's exactly what we see as well. We see Wigram, we see Christchurch, having these schools. We see Christchurch benefiting from these sorts of things. So we're on board with what the good director was saying.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with this is a long-term project. We can't give it a timeline. That's for obvious reasons. But if we get to the point where I'm older than I am and the trustees are older than they are, and we decide that, hey, we cannot go any further or we can't hand over to anyone, everything that we've got, everything that we pull together as it will be inside a trust will be handed over to an aviation organisation in New Zealand that will take this project further if need be. So it's not going to stop with us. We believe that everything we pull together is going to be used and can be used by people who are wanting to bring 501 back. As we're saying here, you can hear it through my voice. This is very much a grassroots project, and we're looking for community people that want to give back. So if you are interested, slide please. There's our contact details. We are on Facebook. You can get us through that media if you like, if that's you, or you can get us by email or talk to Anthony at the end of this, and he'll help you out with that as well. But I'd like to open up the floor for any questions if there are any.
Any questions, anyone? Yeah.
Have you got any original bits of 01?
No, at this stage there are no surviving part. Well, you will have seen at Wigram there is a part of the little cowl that goes in behind the prop. They've actually got two sections of that, and there are props available. But as physical parts left over, not that we've found so far. No.
We do know that there's a propeller in Auckland. I'm not at liberty to say its location, but we know it exists. And one of our steps is to see if they will loan it to us so that it can be replicated, as it were, for this project.
Yeah.
Would the intention, if you could fly it, be just to fly it temporarily and house it?
Did you hear that, Stephen?
Was that to say if just to temporarily fly it and then
house it in a museum?
That would be. Look, I would love to see it up in the air. I mean, like probably a lot of people in the room here, you'd be jumping for joy if you actually saw it flying, and I know we will be. After that point, I would suggest it would end up going into a museum because of its rarity, and we know the amount of people who have put money or would have put support into it. So yes, probably maybe an hour or two of flying, and then maybe into a museum after that.
And certainly want to get it out there for people to see, and then at least have it on public display somewhere. Yes, absolutely. That's
yeah.
Sorry, Stephen.
We can't. Yeah, we have to aim for the top shelf.
Absolutely.
If we don't, then we're just going to be shortchanging ourselves.
Our primary focus will be on NZ 501, but you can appreciate that whilst we do this, there'll be a lot of digitising of plans. There'll be the Grebe will essentially be built in CAD as well, and so if potential for who knows multiple parts to be made. That's something that we'd have to explore down the track, but certainly 501 is our focus right now, and who knows what spin-offs that might generate down the track for other people. Well, one thing I might just, sorry, no, you got a question. One thing I might just add is that it's surprising when you start looking into it just how much commonality there is between a grebe and a gamecock. Whilst they kind of look similar, and the gamecock's a lot bigger, when you start breaking it down into pieces and you start looking at drawings and parts lists, it's becoming evident that a lot of stuff built by Gloster at that time was the same. So we're hoping, we've just been getting some more information this week from the UK, and we're hoping that we'll be able to start parts matching grebe and gamecock drawings and parts. So yeah, it's a huge job, as you could imagine, but hey, if no one tries, then it's never going to happen, is it? Yeah, question.
Yeah, just a quick note. You mentioned NZ 103.
Yes.
And squadron leader Finlay.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't mention the passenger. And that was an airman, Jack Simpson, who was a wood right, who was left after.
Yes, that's right.
Blind.
Yes.
And his fiancée from Featherston married him. And my father came back from True in the desert. In 1943, he arrived back in New Zealand, totally blind, and ran the rehabilitation centre on One Tree Hill. Jack Simpson was one of the men that helped him to train other blind.
Marvellous, eh? See, these are sorry. This is exactly the sort of stuff. I think Stephen has a lot of that information that you talked about, but you can see the stories and experiences that can come out of a piece of machinery, for want of a better word. So thank you very much. We should talk some more about that.
Just add to that story. I believe the flight, when it occurred, was not long, if not the day of Jack Simpson's birthday. So, and when the accident actually occurred, and they crashed into the orchard, there wasn't much hope for Jack, from what I understand. And Finlay got away to the hospital first, but then they had to send the ambulance back to pick up Simpson. Now, from what I've seen his service record and the how the accident happened, he was in the back, from what I believe. And as the plane went down into the trees, which thankfully actually saved both of the crew, his head went forward, and he was wearing goggles at the time, and I believe he would have cracked his head on the cockpit ring. So you can imagine what sort of injuries he had. And yes, sadly, he lost his eyesight. But out of the two of them, he probably had the more colourful life, living a lot longer. And yes, I'd love to have met the man if we'd been doing this 30 years ago.
Anyone else got? Yes, Bob.
What's the horsepower?
Horsepower on the Jaguar 4. What was that, Stephen?
Ooh. I've got the manual here, I think. If you give me a moment, caller, one moment while I check my thing. Please take a seat, and I'll be with you shortly. Keep going there, Anthony. I'll just go and have a quick check for it.
Yeah.
I think one of your earlier slides has that. So 550 horsepower.
I wanted to say 500 horse, but it didn't say that in one of our previous slides. Stand down, Stephen.
Oh, is it on? It's that one there is an. That one there that picture I've got up there of the Jaguar engine, that one there I actually got that out of Finland. As Anthony said, the fins were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I got quite a lot of stuff out of them, more for the Gamecock, but again, because we know there's similarities. But we believe the owner of the engine that we are in discussions with, the man who said yes, he's very keen to support us, has told me that it's also got its supercharger on the back, which the New Zealand ones had, which is again is just amazing stuff to be able to find. And you can see why we're quite excited about this project, especially when we know it's quite feasible thing to do.
Anyone else got any questions? Yep, Johnny.
There was another project being built.
There's the possibility of
Overseas.
another Grebe. There's no other Grebes being done overseas at the moment. Just
not that we're aware of. We're aware of. There's one Gamecock built in the UK, which is at the Jet Age Museum. You can see that online. Yeah. There's another one in construction with another company in the UK. We are talking with that gentleman there. We are aware of another one. Sorry, there's a third one in Finland in parts, and there's another one that has cropped up, but it's very much in a barn away from prying eyes, and the owner doesn't want to talk about it. But we're pretty sure it exists. So there's at least 4.
So, let's see. And actually, as a number of you who are here already have been involved with the Grebe from the beginning. Thanks to you for your help, because I know Zach's been an amazing help with connecting people together. That's what it's about. It's about connecting people. And Mike's skills as well, who had his hand up before. So we're really reaching out to you guys to support the project. Obviously, it's going to be an extremely expensive undertaking. Hence why we've got the charitable trust. We need to start finding histories and things, and approaching lotteries, commissions, and local iwi maybe. Who knows? But let's see what sort of a story we can put together, and let's see what comes of it through donations. Bob.
Yep.
What's the general construction?
So general construction is 4 wooden longerons. Is there a pointer?
Sorry, what was that?
I'm just explaining the construction, Stephen. So there's 4 longerons. That one there, running basically through here. Okay. Now that box structure is metal fish plates and stuff like that, all holding it together, and that appears, from what we understand so far, to be an initial investigation almost identical, if not identical, to a Gamecock structure. The only difference being that I believe the Gamecock cockpit was 1 bay forward, but from there the similarity for the fuselage itself changes, because the formers and stringers form a different shape to the Gamecock. But from what we understand, the internal core structure is same as the Gamecock. Tail feathers, certain aspects of the wing all look very, very similar as well. But that's at the moment, it's all the investigation at the moment.
And that's why we and Anthony brings up good points. That's why we're looking at the Gamecock as much as we look at the Grebe, because the Gamecock we know has been built. If we can get 70% similarity, there's 70% of work we don't have to do. that someone else has done. So then we know we were actually focusing our efforts. It means we've got to go around, a long way to get to the end, but that long way is going to be more beneficial than trying to cut corners and realizing we could have got the drawings or the materials or the knowledge from someone else who's actually doing it right now.
Any more questions? No. This is just some of his, I believe, some of the people who were involved with building his aeroplanes. Yes, there are some of those people who have made themselves known to us and said that it's a great idea, and they're following along as well. There is an enormous amount of interest, so we've got to try and do this properly.
Yeah, and thank you for that comment in the background. I really appreciate that question. We know with this project that we're very much in the forming stages of it. Yes, we're bringing things together. Yes, we've got information, but we've already said it, and we'll say it again, this is about credibility. This is about transparency. This is about showing people that we're actually quite serious about what we're doing, and that we're open. We've got nothing to hide, and we need your help just as much as if we can help you, we'll help you. So yes, there are interesting parties that we're aware of that are sort of watching us, who are curious about what we're doing, but hopefully they will come more to the fore and engage with us as they see our project progress forward. So we'd reach out to people like yourself and say, hey, can you help us lift this project to be a bit more going a bit more in the public eye, as it were?
Yeah,
thanks, Anthony.
We need to start looking like, once the trust is formed, that's been a huge job. We need to get a web presence as well. GoFundMe pages, all of that sort of stuff. This hasn't even been going a year. It's very early days, but we're certainly throwing it out there because we need your support. I'm sure you want to see a Grebe fly as much as we do. Any more questions? Bob, yep.
Which way are you doing the certification of? Is it silver or is it gold?
I would say, look, I'm only going to just speak from just off the cuff here, but we'll task an organisation or people of the right experience to start building this. I would imagine it'll probably go on something like the experimental category. I can't see any point going any different direction in airworthiness than going in with the experimental category for it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, yes.
For those who don't know me, I'm the third trustee in this group. Only recently volunteered, but a couple of shout outs today. One today for organising this this forum and inviting Bob along, and for Bob giving us such a detailed description of rebuilding something almost from scratch. And I had a few smiley moments when Bob was talking, and the first one was he was going to build a model that just gave him and everybody else an idea of what the project was. So I wrote yesterday to the UK looking for a 56-inch wingspan balsa gamecock to do exactly that. So thanks, Bob. You've justified it. I haven't had a reply yet, but I doubt they've got a grid. They have a website, and it doesn't mention it, but they do mention gamecock. And in order to sell what Anthony's been talking about, Steve has been talking about, if you can put something on the table and say, this is the real deal. It's a model, but it's real. It's not plastic. It's balsa. It's tissue paper. It's dope.
then not only will the public see this as the end result, given it's taken from a 1 to 7 scale that's taken up to full size, we will be able to see what is involved. The other smiling moment was when Stephen stood up here last year in front of the Royal Aeronautical Society engineers meeting, basically the retired Air New Zealand engineers. And he said, boy, have I got a deal for you guys. What I need is this, and this experience. We've got a whole lot of drawings. We don't know how to read them. They're in Finnish. Anybody here who's perhaps a draftsman or something? And there was someone behind me twisting my arm up my back. I was an apprentice draftsman with Air New Zealand and spent the next 20 years as an engineer before going flying with Air New Zealand. And I thought, maybe I should help out here. So I saw him afterwards and said, well, you know, and so here I am involved. That's where you can get involved, because it is just those little things that all add up. So when Bob said to the person, the engineer, he said, I can do all these drawings for you, and he rushed up and shook his hand. Well, that was a Stephen moment 6 months ago, and who knows where it'll end up. So thanks very much, Bob. We're all on the same page. We just got to keep working it. Thanks.
It was more than that. I gave him a bloody good hug.
Well, thank you all very much for your time. And don't be shy to approach us. Look, if you know about building websites, stuff like that, you know, that's the sort of thing we need a bit of help with right now as well. So please, you know, communicate with us. We've got a Facebook page presence, as many of you already know, but yeah, drop us a line. Let's see what we can come up with. I'd like to thank you very much for your time, Stephen.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you listening to a voice in the background. Not seeing the person, but I really do appreciate your time, Mike. Thank you. Thank you for stepping forward, because hey, our slide, one of our slides here, it's about people. Well, it's about people. Let's get that Kiwi can-do attitude, that Kiwi way of doing things, and we get it done, because we know we can do it. But thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Dave, again, for our time slot.
No problem at all.
That was the Wings Over New Zealand show with Dave Homewood.